The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley, William D. Danko Book Summary. Introduction. The Millionaire Next Door, The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy is a well-written book comprised of research that throws light on how millionaires live. It comprises many insightful suggestions about the economic consumption of money and how millionaires have built their wealth through unique methods. Have you ever been around people who had a lot of money and not realized it? Maybe you were chatting to the new couple down the block or a guy in your local coffee shop and thought, they're just an average Joe. Until, that is, you found out something like where they work, who their family is, or how much their house is worth and discover that they're actually a millionaire. If you have ever had this experience, then undoubtedly, you remember feeling incredibly surprised. Maybe you wondered why they didn't behave in a more ostentatious manner or why you didn't see a fancy car parked in their driveway. Maybe you even felt like their house wasn't that nice. But, above all, if you've discovered that a friend or acquaintance was a secret millionaire, it's highly likely that you had one big question on your mind: how? How did they get their money? How did they hang on it? How come they don't act like a millionaire? And, perhaps the most pressing question of all, how can you emulate their wealth and success? Well, question no longer. Because over the course of this summary, we're going to unpack each of those questions, plus a few more, and examine the author's answers. Chapter 1, More Money, More Problems. We're all familiar with the famous song by the Notorious B.I.G. and the classic Sang It Inspired. But is it really true that more money can lead to more problems? Most of us will never have to worry about a problematic excess of wealth, but the authors argue that your secret billionaire buddy's success is largely due to their acceptance of this fact. That's because it's a lot easier to become a millionaire than it is to stay a millionaire. Why? Well, although we tend to conceptualize $1 million as being an infinite sum of money, the truth is that it's anything but. So, let's imagine that you really do have $1 million. You spend at least half of it on a fancy house. You spend more on a luxury car. You spend a little extra on some designer clothes to match your new lifestyle. Now an overwhelming portion of your infinite amount of money is gone. How are you going to make your house payment? How will you pay for your flashy car's insurance or repairs? How can you keep up with your new high-class friends? What are you going to do when something breaks in your house? The authors observe that self-made millionaires who hang on to their nest eggs are successful because they consider these dilemmas in advance and plan accordingly. Sure, there are a lot of young self-made millionaires and celebrities who are happy to flash wads of cash around and who blow their money trying to maintain their lifestyle, but these are the folks who quickly run out of cash. By contrast, the millionaires who make few expensive purchases and control their budgets carefully are able to hold on to their wealth for a long time to come. And the author's research indicates that many millionaires practice this strategy for a long time before they ever attain their wealthy status. In fact, the penny-pinching strategies they employed are so accessible that pretty much anyone could implement these tips to become a self-made millionaire. Here's how it works. You start by simply cutting out all the purchases you don't need. The things we buy may be different for everyone, but the logic is the same. Because, at one point or another, everyone has thought, oh, it's only $5, $10, or $15. It won't hurt to spend just a little bit. But every time we employ that logic and spend another small amount on something we don't need, we're throwing away another little bit of money. And if we repeat this process multiple times every month, we've thrown away hundreds of dollars before we ever even realize it. But what would happen if we held onto those little chunks of money every time instead? What would happen if we saved them and put them aside? By carefully saving over time, the authors affirm that it's easy to put aside enough money to become a self-made millionaire. In fact, contrary to popular opinion, you don't need to make 7 figures to begin with. You don't even need a substantial salary. You can cultivate a fortune of your very own simply by setting a goal, sticking to a budget, and saving money every month. Chapter 2, What are your financial goals? As we mentioned in the previous chapter, many millionaires enjoy flaunting their wealth and maintaining an affluent lifestyle. These are probably the stereotypical millionaires that we often imagine. So, what makes them different from the unassuming self-made millionaires who might be living in your neighborhood? Well, the authors argue that the key difference is in their financial goals. Identifying your financial goals is crucial for success if you want to become, and stay, a millionaire, because your financial goals determine how you will manage your money. You can start identifying your financial goals by asking yourself a single question: why do I want to become a millionaire? Is it because you want to flash some cash? Is it so you can buy your own private island? These aren't necessarily bad financial goals to have, but if these are your reasons for becoming a millionaire, it does mean that you're likely to run out of money very quickly. That's because your financial goals aren't really geared towards savings and smart investments. But what if your goal is simply to be financially independent? In this case, you aren't driven by the desire to become a millionaire simply for the sake of becoming a millionaire. Rather, you're interested in accumulating enough money to survive a substantial physical, financial, or economic crisis. Simply put, this means that if you were to suffer a severe injury or if the economy tanked, you would have enough money to maintain the quality of life to which you are currently accustomed. So, if this is your goal, you're far less likely to buy a yacht or a Lamborghini so you can flaunt your wealth. Rather, you're going to make smart investments and save the money you have now so that you can build a steady accumulation you can count on for the future. Chapter 3: Making Smart Investments. In the previous chapter, we affirmed that people who make smart investments are the people who become, and stay, millionaires. But what does a smart investment look like? When you first think about it, investing might seem like a scary and highly involved process that generates a lot of questions. What should you invest in? When should you invest? How can you assess the stability of the stock market? Fortunately, however, the authors assert that these questions aren't quite as pressing as you might think. Instead, they argue that a smart investment is typically characterized by one key thing: how important that investment is to you. That means two things: firstly, that your investments should be specific to you, and secondly, that they should have a positive impact on your life. So, how does that work in practice? Let's break it down piece by piece, starting with the importance of specific investments. In this context, a specific investment means that you're going to invest in a certain business or a certain field. But how do you know which field to invest in? How do you make the right choice? In this case, the authors affirm that you shouldn't sink your money into the business that seems most advantageous or most likely to give you a hefty return. Rather, you should invest in the area that you know the most about. So, for example, if you don't have a great deal of expertise in luxury automobiles, you might not want to invest in luxury automobiles. But if you know a lot about rare, first edition books, then you should invest in books. The authors observe that you may also find it highly profitable to invest in another area, and this brings us to our second point: investing in products that have a positive impact on your life. Of course, your first instinct might be to say that a yacht or a private island would have a very positive impact on your life. But that's not really what we're talking about here. Rather, the authors are referring to investments that are practical rather than flashy. For example, let's say you run a small design business out of your home. You make customizable crafts, mugs, greeting cards, and t-shirts, and you design every product by hand. You also rely heavily on your graphic design software and your printer to bring your creations to life. So, in this case, you might consider investing some of your wealth in a top-of-the-line printer. A printer is hardly an exciting or Instagrammable purchase, but it makes a lot of financial sense for your life and business. And that means it's a really good investment. Chapter 4: Passing on Good Financial Habits. Many of us never learned how to write a check, how to apply for a loan, how to budget, or what constituted a good investment. Our parents didn't teach us that, and we didn't learn about it in school. But whether you realize it or not, you inherited a lot of financial knowledge from your parents. In fact, that's true whether they directly told you anything or not. That's because human beings learn a great deal by example. By watching the behavior of others around us, we learn what's considered normal and what's considered weird. We absorb these standards as preschoolers just by watching other kids. And the same is true of the financial knowledge you absorb from your parents. For example, if your parents hoarded every dime, you might have inherited a proclivity for penny pinching. By contrast, if your parents spent money just because they could, only to wind up in debt later, you might inherit the same tendencies. The authors acknowledge this and observe that these are important considerations for the children of millionaires. So, just as you need to identify your own financial goals and the effect these goals will have on your life, you also need to consider how your view of money will affect your children. For example, if you communicate, "We're millionaires. We can spend all the money we want," then your children will grow up believing that money practically grows on trees. This in turn will lead to poor financial choices, like blowing through all their money too quickly, or the inability to function on an average income. As a result, they might wind up with a mountain of credit card debt or expect you to financially support them for the rest of their lives. The authors observe that neither of these options are desirable, and that's why they advocate for parents modeling healthy financial choices. In practice, this means that even if you can afford to financially support your adult children, you probably shouldn't. And it doesn't hurt to teach your kids how to save and budget as they're growing up. For example, maybe you can afford to buy your daughter a Ferrari for her 16th birthday. But is that really the best thing for her? Or would it be better to teach her about getting a job and saving her money so she can buy an affordable car for herself? While that's not to say that you should never financially support your children or buy them nice things, it does mean that your actions can encourage them to become financially handicapped or leave them dependent on you. The authors acknowledge that this happens to the children of many millionaires. Even if their parents made smart investments for themselves, they sometimes fail to do the same for their children and fall into the easy trap of giving them everything they want. As a result, their children develop negative financial habits and their parents' savings are drained by the necessity of supporting helpless adult children. This can also lead to unhealthy disparities in the division of the parents' estate. For example, if one child has become financially independent and is paying their own way in life, they might receive less than a sibling who has dropped out of college and never learned to budget. None of these outcomes are what you want for your family, so that's why it's important to consider your children in your financial planning as well. Chapter 5, Final Summary. We all have a number of preconceived notions that arise when we think about millionaires. But as the author's research indicates, those stereotypes are often incorrect. In many cases, millionaires blow through their money too quickly and resort to mortgages, loans, and credit card debt in an effort to keep up appearances. But in other cases, very wealthy people live within, or even well below, their means and budget carefully to accrue a sizable nest egg. They then continue to budget and make smart investments that will enable their wealth to grow, and thus, they are able to maintain a comfortable quality of life. The best part is that anyone can become a millionaire by following these same simple practices. All you have to do is budget carefully and eschew a flashy lifestyle in favor of smart investments that play to your strengths. Lessons learned from The Millionaire Next Door. The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko offers valuable insights into the habits and characteristics of America's millionaires, imparting several key lessons. 1. The Frugal Millionaire. The book challenges the stereotype of millionaires as big spenders and highlights the importance of frugality and living below one's means. 2. Income versus wealth. It distinguishes between a high income and true wealth, emphasizing that accumulating wealth requires disciplined saving and investing. 3. Budgeting and financial planning. The book underscores the significance of budgeting and financial planning in achieving financial independence. For investing for the long term, millionaires, as portrayed in the book, are patient investors who prioritize long-term financial goals over short-term gratification. 5. Entrepreneurship and business ownership. The authors discuss how many millionaires are business owners or entrepreneurs, underscoring the potential for wealth creation through entrepreneurship. 6. Avoiding debt. The book encourages readers to minimize debt and avoid high-interest loans, as debt can hinder wealth accumulation. 7. Value of homeownership. The book suggests that homeownership can be a key component of building wealth, provided it's done sensibly and not as a status symbol. 8. Educational investments. Stanley and Danko highlight the importance of investing in education and continuous learning to enhance earning potential. 9. Work ethic and discipline. The habits of discipline, hard work, and perseverance are central to the financial success of the millionaires profiled. 10. Generational wealth. The book explores the idea of passing down financial values and habits to the next generation, promoting a legacy of wealth. 11. Networking and relationships. Building strong professional and social networks can provide valuable opportunities and support in achieving financial goals. 12. The role of financial advisors. The authors discuss the benefits of seeking advice from financial professionals but caution against overpaying for services. The Millionaire Next Door offers a comprehensive look at the characteristics and behaviors of self-made millionaires. Its lessons encourage readers to adopt frugal habits, prioritize saving and investing, and focus on long-term financial security rather than conspicuous consumption. The Millionaire Next Door quotes, "We should always live below our means, no matter how much we earn in our life. If one has good health, family, good friends, happiness, and longevity, he considers himself a rich man. One should not always chase money but rather focus on his work and career. If you are good at what you do, money will find its way to you. One should not be impressed with what the other person owns, but rather one should be impressed with what the other person has achieved over the years. Abundance is all the more regularly the consequence of a way of life of difficult work, diligence, arranging, and, in particular, self-control. Numerous individuals who live in costly homes and drive expensive vehicles don't have much wealth. What you see in your neighbor's driveway is indicative of his or her standard of living. But it has nothing to do with either his or her wealth or, more important, his or her income-generating ability. The primary wealth-building businesses in America are farming, manufacturing, and the entrepreneurial business. The majority of millionaires in America work for themselves, and they don't have a prestige-type career. The foundation stone of wealth accumulation is defense, and this defense should be anchored by budgeting and planning. To build wealth, minimize your realized, taxable, income and maximize your unrealized income, wealth/capital appreciation. Wealth is not the same as income. If you make a good income each year and spend it all, you are not getting wealthier. You are just living high. Wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend. Wealth is more often the result of a lifestyle of hard work, perseverance, planning, and self-discipline. In general, millionaires live below their means, have a budget, and make their own financial decisions. The average millionaire has been bankrupt or nearly bankrupt at least 3.2 times in his or her career. Most millionaires don't look like millionaires. They don't wear fancy clothes, drive luxury cars, or live in mansions. People who have confidence in their own abilities and are willing to take risks are more likely to build wealth than those who are afraid to take risks. If you want to be financially successful, you need to think long-term, delay gratification, and be willing to make sacrifices. The key to building wealth is to focus on increasing your net worth, not your income. Wealth is not a matter of income. Wealth is a matter of choice. The wealthy understand that money is a tool, not a status symbol. They use it to create financial security, build wealth, and improve their quality of life. The people who build lasting wealth are those who are willing to work hard, take calculated risks, and stay focused on their goals. Many individuals who have a lot of abundances don't live in upscale areas. It's simpler to aggregate riches if you don't live in a high-status area. In case you're not yet wealthy, however, you need to be sometime in the future. Never buy a home that requires a home loan that is more than twice your family's yearly income. incredible offense and helpless defense convert into under-aggregation of wealth. A majority of millionaires have managed to maintain their status by living below their means. A lot of people aim to appear rich rather than actually being rich. The establishment of wealth aggregation is a defense, and this defense ought to be secured by proper planning and arrangement. One's net worth can be calculated by multiplying his net annual income by his age and then dividing the product by 10. Inheritance does not play any role in determining one's net worth. Life can be tough at times, and there is no guarantee of a rose nursery. On the off chance that you will probably be financially secure, you'll probably accomplish it. In any case, if your goal is to spend money for a good and luxurious life, you're never going to achieve it. One reason that wealthy people are financially fruitful is that they think unexpectedly. Cash ought never to change one's qualities. Bringing in cash is just a report card. We have discovered this isn't the situation. The perspective of business tycoons is shared by the vast majority who are not well off. They think millionaires own costly garments, watches, and other status curios. One should not focus on how much he makes, but rather one should focus on what he is currently doing with what he has. It is extremely hard for a married couple to collect wealth on the off chance that one is a prodigal. A family separated in its monetary direction will probably not gather critical abundance. The no-school types with top-level salaries frequently had an early advantage on some accomplished, educated workers. As per our latest overview, the common American millionaire revealed that he has never spent more than $399 for a suit of apparel for himself or any other individual. It's astonishing what you can do when you set your heart. When you have no option but to succeed, you will always be at your best. The vast majority won't ever get well off in one generation on the off chance that they are married to inefficient individuals. A couple can't collect enough wealth on the off chance that one among them is nothing but a consumer. In a recent study, it has been revealed that financially independent individuals are more happy and joyous than financially insecure. To assemble wealth, limit your acknowledged, available, income and boost your hidden pay, wealth without an income. By not letting our children become entrepreneurs, we urge them to dismiss our way of life of frugality and a self-inflicted climate of shortage. Mrs. Rule needs to be liberated from monetary concerns before her 65th birthday celebration. Each time she organizes, she discloses that she is decreasing her fear of always being unable to resign in comfort. Imagine a scenario where he enjoyed the tax-advantaged benefit from the time he first started working. Today he would be a millionaire. All things being equal, he is on the unending earn-to-survive treadmill. How can well-accomplished, highly paid individuals be so innocent about cash? Since being an accomplished, big-time salary worker doesn't consequently convert into monetary autonomy. It takes arranging and forfeiting. Stocks, bonds, and related ventures are not the only way millionaires have built their fortune, but rather, it is also the real estate that has brought immense wealth to them. Our childhood is informed that purchasing costly things is ordinary conduct for well-off individuals. They are persuaded that the affluent have a maximum usage way of life. There is a backward connection between buying extravagant things, for example, vehicles and garments, and arranging one's monetary future. I hope you do enjoy watching the Millionaire Next Door book summary. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and share. See you in next videos.